No music, no music, no music. What are you laughing at? I see you giggling over there. So funny, doobie. All right. All right. This is getting awkward. Getting awkward. But don't worry, we're coming. Give me 1 second, guys. It's coming. I'm on my way. I'm doing it. I'm on my way. All right. What is up, everyone? Welcome to the No Life Digital Podcast episode 6432. My name is Wayne. I am your host this evening. Let's bring on the co-host. Co-host, what's going on, dudes? What's poppin'?
Okay, how's it going? Just sitting here trying to make sure.
I keep forgetting to queue up fucking free music. I keep forgetting that I can't use the epidemic sound.
Nah, it's fine.
What up?
Just sitting here.
Awkward start.
I believe it. It's okay. We're just gonna make it even worse.
I listen to so many podcasts anyway, and none of them start with music. And I realize
the ones that do the most is The Athletic. That's what I've noticed.
Like
every single podcast from The Athletic has some just like catchy bullshit that they go with, but that's it.
Yeah. Most of the ones I listen to, I was like, you know what? They actually don't start off with music. They just start the show. So maybe we'll do that. Just jump into it, you know? Let's just fucking get going. Kid Cody in the house. What's up, bro? So we got some gaming news. Not too much news in the building, but some stuff to talk about. In tech, I want to talk about how YouTube is planning to ban misleading content around the election and the entire Iowa caucus app fiasco. Have you guys seen that at all? Been following that? Absolutely hilarious.
So shit show of all proportions, which is kind of sad because the guy in Iowa was literally brought in because he like his entire shtick and like life goal has been to make this thing actually work properly.
Yeah.
And just completely failed on his first attempt.
Yeah.
You gotta feel bad for a man.
And there's like still like kind of like unreported. It's like people don't really know what was going on, but I know
what's going on.
And so far,
one of the two people who won was not named Biden, and now the Democrats are like, "Oh fuck!"
Yeah,
and so far they've only released 62%, which is just enough to make it look like Buttigieg won, even though it's probably Bernie.
Yeah,
I mean, after 2016 in this,
also
the DNC doesn't want Bernie. They just don't. They don't want him.
They hate
him.
And they're wrong. And also the fact that Buttigieg, whatever his name is actually getting votes is like fucking sickening to me. The dude's a Republican. Why is the Democrat Party like voting for him so hard?
I mean, let's be honest. This whole
it makes no sense to me, dude.
The Democratic Party can't get out of its own way.
No, both of the parties are shit shows.
Trump is winning 2020 easily.
Probably.
It's going to happen. I'm already convinced. The Democrats just can't seem to figure it out. And like they should be putting Bernie out there. Bernie has the best chance, and they just hate him. They don't want him.
They rather have Trump win the election than Bernie take the party.
Oh yeah, no, that's absolutely what they would rather have.
Yeah. That's just how it will be. And that's unfortunate. I don't know. Will he take over the establishment like Trump did with the Republican Party? I hope so. I would love to see that. I like a lot of what Bernie says. I wouldn't call myself a Bernie Sanders supporter, but a lot of his policies make sense to me. And he's easily the most just trustworthy, the most charismatic, the most vibrant candidate out of any of these other schmucks. Maybe
Then-
Andrew Yang second, maybe Elizabeth Warren second.
Get me
Then
a
the big
Jewish president.
Then the
man.
big problem I have with him, though, is what I've been saying every single time. Can we please just stop voting for old white dudes above the age of 70? Like,
Yeah.
that's the only that's his problem.
Yeah, I mean, I think a lot of his problems stem from just his immediate marketing, constantly using the word socialist. That's gonna hurt him in the general election if he makes it that far. But overall, we'll see where the party wants to take it. I'm very surprised.
Dude, who
that Pete
fucking knows
Buttigieg's-
who fucking knows with what the Dems are doing right now? It makes
Why are there,
absolutely
like,
no sense to
40
me.
fucking different, candidates running for the nomination. It's insane. It should be like 4 or 5. Like, you don't need all these people. John Delaney, Deval Patrick, Tom Steyer, Michael Bennett, Michael Bloomberg.
Dude, you still have the Yang Gang in there. Yeah, Mike
Why
Bloomberg,
is Bloomberg?
who is also now a Democrat, I guess.
Yeah, he's now a Democrat. I don't know.
Fucking kill me, dude.
I hate the DNC. I hate them so much.
Yeah. Well, hopefully we won't have to deal with them much longer. It seems like they're on their last legs. I mean, the Iowa caucus thing is really going to spark a lot of interesting discussion around the DNC, and if Hillary Clinton's entire campaign with Debbie Wasserman Schultz and how they spurned Bernie the first time didn't wipe him out, this second run will definitely wipe him out.
Imagine handing anybody anything after releasing only 62%. Like, we saw the Super Bowl. I bet you 62% through the game. We were, that's it. The 49ers
We
won,
gotta talk
right?
about that too.
The Niners won, right? They 62%. They won.
There you go. Oh yeah, we
True.
got to talk about.
Yeah, except for the
let's talk about
Chiefs
Super Bowl
scoring
now.
3 touchdowns in the fourth.
We got
fourth quarter.
let's get
My
into
God.
that Super Bowl.
That Super Bowl was sick. I loved it. I thought it was a good game. I slept a little bit of it, but
I did too. It was all right. It was
it was a good game.
it was kind of boring for a lot of it, actually.
It
I
was
think
like
it's-
second half got a little more interesting. First half
Yeah.
was dominated by the run, and just the Chiefs don't really do anything in the first half. It's like they conserve their energy, and then they get going in
People
the
think
second
I'm
half.
crazy, but I mean, we've seen Andy Reid with like worse teams go to 4 straight NFC championships, and he won one of them and then lost the Super Bowl with the Eagles.
Yeah.
No,
I'm not trying to say that this is a new dynasty, because you can't really do that without, you got to produce first, but like,
but you
this
also
is-
have Patty Mahomes.
You got
You can
Patrick
kind of say it
Mahomes.
might become a dynasty.
this is the second
Stays healthy.
the second year in a row
True.
Andy Reid has taken his team to the AFC Championship game, and this year he won that game and then wins the Super Bowl. For me, there's no reason why the next 2 to 3, 4, 5 years the Chiefs shouldn't be in the AFC Championship game every year.
I mean, you also have a quarterback who's like 23 and has already won
24, but yeah.
24, and he's won a Super Bowl and an MVP.
And Super Bowl MVP as well.
Yeah,
And then he's got
and add
only-
in that entire fucking offense if they can keep it together.
And that's the only thing that might be the bullet is Tom Brady won all the Super Bowls because he was willing to take pay cuts repeatedly so they could keep offensive talent. If Mahomes comes out like when his contract's over and is like, I want to be the highest paid quarterback, which he could totally, if he keeps it up, should demand it, where are they going to get their other money for offensive weapons?
Yeah, and if I was him, I would not take any pay cuts yet. Like, get a couple more rings before you start doing that.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
But they're set up in a really good position. And then you look at the rest of the AFC. I mean, the Patriots are on the way down. The Ravens probably are the next best team, but
I see them doing really well
just-
next year.
they can't seem to win in the playoffs. Lamar Jackson just does, like in 2 games so far, has not played well in the playoffs. The Titans are one of those teams that could be back, or they could be just like the Jaguars were when they went from the AFC Championship game to 5-11 the next year. And
I mean,
Titans had
you
a
got
good
a
run this
little,
year.
you got a
Wild card.
little bit of a better quarterback at least.
they do, but there's also the fact that they have to sign him again, and Derrick Henry.
Is Derrick Henry coming next year, or is he guaranteed?
He's a free agent, so they're gonna either franchise tag him or pay him big.
They're gonna have to pay him a lot of money.
And they got to also
Honestly,
figure out
I would
what they're
just
gonna do with
franchise.
Tannehill.
I would franchise tag him.
Hey,
don't long term sign your running backs. Jesus
if
Christ.
if the CBA doesn't work, like if the CBA falls through and they're able to do the franchise tag and the other tag, there's like 2 different tags. I think they should do both tags on Tannehill and Henry, run it back next year and see what they can do, and then make the decision after that.
Don't give your running backs long-term contracts.
Because I'm saying it now, like if they move away from him, if they just don't even bring him back, I want them to just straight up stop trying to be a run-first team, rebuild the offense, and draft a quarterback. They don't have to replace Tannehill, but get you a quarterback so in 2 years when Tannehill's gone, you have somebody to put in. Find you a Mahomes kind of player where you don't have to rush him to start.
Yeah, AFC was pretty stacked this year compared to the NFC.
But I mean, like, you got the Buffalo Bills, but I mean, Josh Allen doesn't scare me at all. Their defense is what's good. The Texans, Bill O'Brien is GM.
You can say the
That's
same thing about the
horrible.
49ers, though, and it works until it doesn't.
Yeah. Their running game was a lot better than the Bills.
True, and I think Garoppolo is better than Josh Allen.
Like I said, like let's look at the playoff teams in the AFC this year. Like the Houston Texans.
Dude, it's gonna be the Raiders. Actually,
the Texans have a great offense, except the fact they have no offensive line and can't block for shit. So Deshaun Watson just is under pressure every snap.
That's the story of the Texans.
And Bill O'Brien, as GM, made a bunch of bad trades, and they don't have a first-round pick for 2 years. Next year, they don't even have a second-round pick, and they made him GM and head coach. Holy crap! What a dumpster fire!
I mean, who would they pick up other than like new O linemen?
That's what they need to get is new O linemen. They need to fix that O line.
You don't really need to have a first-round pick.
And their defense is trash. Like
you don't, but it helps.
It does help.
They were up 24-0 against the Chiefs, and then saw the Chiefs score 41 straight unanswered.
Well, that was the story of the Chiefs, all playoffs and all postseason.
I mean, it was the story of the Chiefs, but you
can't stop them when they're in that mode, dude. Mahomes.
There's no way, even with a great you have to have a great defense, and even then you're like, but you still 41 points unanswered is just that's embarrassing.
It's crazy. It's not as embarrassing as the NFC.
The NFC, I mean, who knows? Like Drew Brees, like a lot hinges on what he does. Because if he does retire, who the hell's quarterbacking? Are they going to go with Hill, or are they going to keep Teddy Bridgewater?
Probably Bridgewater.
That's the thing, though.
Probably Bridgewater really draft someone.
Well, they're really high on Taysom Hill.
I mean, whoever earns it, I guess. But yeah, who knows?
If I'm Teddy Bridgewater, though, there's plenty of teams that are starving for a starting quarterback. Do you try to win a competition in New Orleans, or do you go for guaranteed starter?
I don't know if people. I don't know if
money.
Yeah, I would go wherever he goes, need more money, because I think he's going to have competition no matter where he goes. Because I don't think anyone's going to give him guaranteed starter.
Look at Chicago. I mean, they would probably give him guaranteed starter over Trubisky.
They should, but Chicago really likes Trubisky. I don't know why.
I don't get it. I think who knows what Tom Brady does, because that's going to be huge in the quarterback market.
He's going to stay in fucking New England. He's not going anywhere.
You think he's got one more year?
I'm saying, imagine if he goes to the Raiders.
And then he's going to have a really bad. If he goes to the Raiders, I will be really happy, because then the Raiders are going to go like 6-11 instead of 5-10.
I only say the Raiders because it's close to LA, which is kind of where he wants to go.
No, I know. I know they've been linked.
Than the Chargers. They're in a new city. They're gonna want him.
Yeah, is it really it's not a better situation than the Chargers
because they're gonna pay him more than the Chargers would.
You think
fair?
They would?
I think it's fucking Gruden, dude. It's fucking Gruden. Yeah. He will do whatever the fuck he wants to.
And the fact that he's moving to a new city in LA, their first year in Las Vegas, they're going to want a big name to get fans out. Like I'm going to say they're going to try to treat it like they treated like the Golden Knights. I mean, the Golden Knights had an expansion draft and everything.
Yeah, but also they missed out in Vegas. Vegas,
Tom Brady going anywhere.
Vegas was a different situation than that, because it was. You don't really get names out of an expansion draft. You got the rag of misfits, basically. But like, that team is not going to support the Raiders like they support the Golden Knights. The Golden Knights was their first pro team, and it was actually I mean, it was a rag of misfits, and that's kind of what Vegas is as a city. Like, it
and they
made
went to the
sense.
goddamn Stanley Cup Finals.
Right. Just bringing in pretty
Damn.
boy Tom Brady is like the antithesis of Vegas, basically.
I personally think Brady's done, but like I think he just doesn't have it anymore.
He might have one more year in him for the Patriots, and then I don't think he's gonna go out on another.
Dude,
team.
I'm not saying he's done until he says he's done, because it's like that with Brady. Every year they still somehow manage to make the playoffs and come back. It's like that in hockey where you can't.
Fair,
it's the same thing in all sports.
They managed to make the playoffs because they play in the AFC East.
True,
Okay,
but
no,
they
still had a winning record. They still had a pretty good record.
They still would have made
it. Play against the Dolphins twice a year and the Jets twice a year.
Yeah, and the Packers have to play the Lions and the Bears twice a year. Like,
those are better teams than the Jets and the Dolphins.
Could also say that about what's been going on with the Eagles lately. Like, I have to play Dallas.
So bad.
Yeah, that's the worst division.
God, that is the worst division. It's so garbage.
Yeah.
It's what everyone makes the AFC South seem to be.
And then what's his name gets to the playoffs and then gets hurt immediately.
And South isn't that great either, yeah.
But man, Carson Wentz just can't avoid it.
He gets his first playoff game finally.
I want a vape.
And then gets hurt immediately.
I feel bad for the guy. I really do. Like I don't they probably lose that game anyway, but he gets there. He finally gets there healthy and then gone. And it's just like, what the fuck?
And then they're begging for Big Dick Nick to come back.
Hey man, the Jaguars are definitely going to want to get rid of him. That's why you don't overpay for streaky quarterbacks.
I'll never forget that Super Bowl. That shit was nuts.
That's why you don't pay $50 million on 4 years for a perennial backup.
But he won a Super Bowl.
The NFC East did.
Everyone thought he was going to be the new Brady. So that's what Brady did. Brady was the backup, and then he won. Come on, dude. It all fits the storyline.
Yeah,
it didn't work out.
No shit.
I mean, Brady was also how old versus Nick Foles?
I know.
Yeah, Patriots will always do good. They have a pretty good team.
All I know is I can't wait for that Seattle hockey
Packers,
team.
do you think Aaron Rodgers is coming back?
Oh yeah, definitely.
Yeah. How many more years do you think he's got in him?
He's got at least 4, in my opinion.
He's probably waiting at least 3. He's probably waiting for Brady to drop out, and then he'll drop out next.
I mean, how old is Aaron Rodgers?
34. He's still
he's
like maybe 35 now.
4.
I thought he was older than that now.
He might be older than that, but he's like mid-30s last I knew.
I think he's got another.
He is getting older.
36.
He is 36. Yeah,
okay,
he's still got another 3-4 years. I would say 3. I'm edging on 3 because since I am in the NFC North, like I'm saying 3 because the Packers have like never bothered getting him an offensive line in like the way that Brady's always been protected
in that playoff game.
I bet you would love to see Brett Hundley take over for Aaron Rodgers. Brett Hundley's bad.
Yeah. No, like they're just the Packers is like even more a quarterback and nothing team, and like they've just never gotten Rodgers the help Rodgers should get, to be honest, especially in the trenches.
Defense, but that just didn't transpire this year. They were mainly they focused on their run a little bit towards the end, and they kind of fell apart on the.
I could have seen that coming with Matt LaFleur. He used to be offensive coordinator for the Titans, and he has a penchant to sometimes run when he should not be running.
Yeah.
Oh, like our offensive coordinator who ran on 4th and 1.
Brutal.
What do you guys think of the halftime show? You guys,
you
guys still get boners for J-Lo and Shakira?
Hey,
it was fucking weird, dude.
Shakira's booty. I was gonna say Shakira's booty. It's a good booty.
Dude, how much plastic surgery do they have? Like, I want to take bets on that because they like. Okay, so what? That they were famous when
great.
I know, like they were famous when I was like 8, and they haven't aged a fucking day.
Just saying, her hips don't lie.
Do they?
They don't.
I think they do.
I don't think they do.
I think they do lie. They tell you a different story. Yeah, I mean they still look amazing. It's pretty crazy. I just don't understand like how they had like kids in cages in there.
Yeah, that was weird.
Bit,
I made that. I saw. Yeah, that was weird.
That was a little on the nose. You could have.
I was like, there's a lot of. I mean, I get it, but I get it because they're in Miami, so there's a huge Spanish like connection, Cuban and Puerto Rico. So like totally see the connection of like doing Shakira and J-Lo, but that show went on for a while.
It was long. Yeah.
It was all right. So one thing that I saw on Twitter was that people were upset at the halftime show because they were saying that the NFL, the Super Bowl, is not a family-friendly event, and they made up some interesting points, and usually I scoff at stuff like that, but I don't think the Super Bowl is technically a family-friendly event. It's kind of more PG-13 over the years, especially since like the Janet incident. It's now a little bit racier, and there's a lot more ads for adult products, and I don't know. It feels like it's not as clean as it used to be.
Let's be real. The Super Bowl ads this year were garbage.
I
don't remember
that.
I honestly don't remember that.
Garbage.
Let's all agree that the people in charge of the Planters, Mr. Peanut, Baby Peanut thing, that whole marketing team needs to be fucking fired.
Why? What is that? I don't know what you're talking about.
So they ran a spot before the Super Bowl, like a couple weeks before, on Twitter, where they're like, Mr. Peanut died in a crash, which they didn't air that commercial again, probably because of the Kobe thing. But so they had their Super Bowl spot was the funeral of Mr. Peanut, and then Mr. Peanut comes back as Baby Peanut, which is just playing on Baby Yoda. It's just a ripoff of Baby Yoda. That's what they're trying to play off of.
Oh, look, they got all the mascots there. They got the Kool-Aid Man.
There was a lot of these crossover
Mr.
commercials.
There's a lot of crossover, yeah.
Is Planters part of like Procter Gamble? That whole sort of fucking thing?
Probably.
There was a Procter Gamble commercial though that had Mr. Clean and all those other.
That's probably why, yeah.
But and then there was the probably the most impactful commercial was the Google one. That was probably
Kraft Heinz.
Kate said she was crying when she saw that.
A lot of people were really like they hit them.
Planters is Kraft Heinz because I have a big boy right behind me.
So apparently the Google commercial was an elderly gentleman asking Google to remember a lot of things for him.
Dude, that was sad as shit.
It was all about his dead wife.
Oh my god, that commercial was so sad.
Remember how she smiled? And it was pretty sad.
Kate said she was crying.
At first I thought it was an Alzheimer's
same
thing, and then I'm
but then it got sadder and sadder and sadder.
Yeah.
I'm gonna try to find
it was a good commercial because it that one was actually good. It invoked your emotions properly, but also then it was like showing like, hey, here's a good product and a good use for it. Like that was objectively a good use of the product. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But holy fuck, that was sad.
Like some of the funnier commercials were the Jason Momoa one was funny, even though it was for Rocket Mortgage and they didn't talk about mortgages at all, of course. But it was funny for Jason Momoa to like take his muscles off, take his hair off, and it's just a bald cap.
Oh, I saw that one. I did see
that was a good one. The Little Nas X and Sam Elliott Doritos one was pretty solid.
I saw that one too.
Mainly because Doritos usually has good funny commercials.
I saw the Post Malone one.
That was a decent one. But other than that, like there really weren't any like fantastic commercials.
There wasn't many. I don't remember many commercials, to be honest. It feels like there wasn't that many commercials this year.
There was the Microsoft one about the female coach. That was interesting as well.
The one that I remember the most is Pop-Tarts Pretzel because it was really bad and I actually liked the dude doing it, but it was really fucking bad. That one was
what the fuck is a Pop-Tarts Pretzel?
It was Jonathan, the hairdresser from Queer Eye, making a really, really shitty game show ad. It was so bad.
These are Pop-Tarts, but they're wrapped in a pretzel. Interesting. That probably is delicious. I love Pop-Tarts.
And like the ad was perfect because it was a really shitty ad for a really shitty product that's actually probably okay.
Hey, I might have to pick some of these bad boys. All right, what else? What else in that happened in that game? I think that's about it. I think we can move on.
Yeah, no, it was
was
more
alright.
entertaining than last year's.
I took a
that's
nap.
for sure.
That was the thing
Yeah.
that I noticed. But I was also moving the entire 2 days before that, 3 days before that. So I was exhausted. And then like first half, I just knocked out. Woke up around like late second quarter, and then finished the game. And I was like, yeah, it was all right. It was nice to see it come back, but wasn't too impressed. Okay, let's move on. I want to talk about DBZ Kakarot. Doobie, I know you're a big DBZ fan. Have you got this game yet at all?
Nope. I'm gonna probably eventually pick it up, but I'm gonna pick it up when it's on sale.
I recommend you just skip it.
Yeah. I've watched a few friends play it. It seems like it's something I would enjoy eventually, but not at $60 price tag.
Yeah, it's up there.
It apparently, like, if you like the show, if you're a big Dragon Ball Z fan, it's like a fun experience, but it can be very grindy from what I hear, which is its gameplay loop is very monotonous, which is kind of disappointing.
All right, this is what I'll say. They nail the combat. The combat is actually really, really fun, and there's a cool like RPG element to the combat that really does sort of invest you in the characters a little bit more, and you want to find out their new skills. You want to get to the high skill and see what these like animations look like, and that whole aspect of it is awesome, but the entire game around it is so bad. I mean, the flying mechanics are literally... I saw Angry Joe's review of it, and he showed the flying from Superman, the old Nintendo 64 Superman game.
That was a common joke I saw on Twitter.
It is like that. It's that bad. It's
and the fact that
bad.
and the fact that you actually get more orbs just from fighting than actually getting them in the air.
Yeah, there's no point for them to be there. Flying around is just the way you fly. It feels so tanky and just terrible. It's just not fun to fly around. The way that the world sort of works, it's not an open world game. It's like hub worlds that you have to pop in and out of. You can fly around in these little areas, but it's not like you'll fly from one hub to the next hub and there's no loading screens. I mean, you got to back out, hit a menu, and then reappear somewhere in the next world. And I don't know. I feel like a lot of these games, and this is kind of where I wanted to take this, but I feel like a lot of these games that I've been playing from, I'm gonna just say like these JRPG Japanese heavy games, they get a pass for some reason for their terrible game structures and mechanics. I mean, the game is just really, really bad. Outside the everything around it is bad. If it wasn't for the DBZ license and the fact that the fighting is pretty cool and some of the animations are cool, I think that this would be considered like, a 2 out of 10. Like, this would be considered a terrible game. But they do get the vibe of DBZ down, and it does feel a little like DBZ, and it, there's all the characters there.
I think that's kind of where we are with some of these games. They get more of a pass because nostalgia blinds.
Yeah, and that's I mean, it's so true here. It's so true here. It's not a fun game. It's not a fun game. The DBZ vibe wears off very quickly. As soon as you find out you have a quest that you have to do that is just a fetch quest of hundreds and thousands of fetch quests that simply do not progress the story. They don't even give you experience for them. Like, you'll go across the main story and you get massive amounts of experience for doing the storyline. These side quests, it's nothing. You basically get nothing for them.
Yeah, I've heard one of the common
game up.
things. One of the common things I've also heard is that there are only 2 options when you get into an actual fight. You're either 1, over leveled and it's really easy,
right?
Or 2, you're under leveled and it's annoying.
Yeah, when you're under leveled, it just becomes a matter of time. It becomes how long is it going to take to actually kill this guy. If it's going to take too long, then you can back out and then just try to level up or go fight someone else. But yeah, I mean, there's no like.
The encounters in the overworld are far too frequent.
Yeah, and they're literally just like They're just like
generic enemy.
generic enemies, just like floating. They're just like floating around, and then they'll spot you, and then they just kind of come and they zoom into you, and then you have to fight them. There's no like, you know, like in The Witcher where, and I'm gonna you know, compare every game to The Witcher because it's just such a great example of, you know, video game mastery at its finest. But like, you know, in The Witcher, you'll hit up a swamp and there's swampy enemies there and they're sludging around, and some of them are underneath the water, or some of them are like in bushes eating things. And then you might run into one that you didn't see because it was, you know, hiding in some sort of mud or whatever. And then you have to fight this swamp monster. With this, it's like these random enemies, generic like robot enemies, are just floating in the air waiting for you to kind of just fly by. It just makes no fucking sense. There's all these like dumb collectibles, like shoot down these towers for no reason. There's orbs everywhere that are just like placed around the world. You have to eat in this game, which is a thing, and the eating is just so immensely annoying because you have to get certain ingredients for them, and you have to fly to certain areas to get them. And it's not like go to the apple orchard to pick apples and then, you know, go to a place where there's sheep grazing and then find the sheep so you can get wool. It's just like, there's this area over here where sheep are right now, and then you can go there and get them. There's the apple trees next to this fucking beach, so you head over there and just get the apples. It's just like, none of the game makes sense other than the fact that you are flying around as Goku and you get to fight people sometimes. And then the storyline of DBZ, of course, is in there, and you do play through that. And if you like that, then you might have a good time with this game. But if you're looking for a good game, this is not one of them.
I played
all.
Xenoverse 1 and 2. That's one of the things I liked about Fighters a lot, was its story mode was an original story. It wasn't
Right.
It wasn't like by any means like the greatest story ever told. It wasn't even the best Dragon Ball Z story.
But it was.
But at least it was new.
Yeah. And what was the gameplay like? Just fight.
It was fight, and
Yeah.
it was
like,
and it was
stay to the
good
thing
because
that we made
that's
the
a
game.
Yeah, because that game has a good fighting system that's fun to play.
Yeah. This is like, we have an okay fighting system and an okay upgrading RPG system, but let's also make you do fetch quests and fly around and get orbs in this terrible Superman style N64 flying mechanism, and let's just fill the game with as much nonsense as we can just to keep people, you know, happy that we added this stuff in. I mean, I'm not going to give it a pass. I think it is an atrocious game. I think it's absolutely atrocious. They should be ashamed of creating it. It's a money grab. It's nostalgia porn. It's just it's a joke of a game, and I'm very disappointed that I picked it up.
That is, I would say, 90 to 95% of all anime games are essentially cash grabs.
Yeah, and that's what I'm starting to it's starting to upset me, because I do like some of that stuff. Like I love the platinum games, and this is what makes me so frustrated. I fucking love these platinum games, and I want to play more games like that. And they don't have to be as good as platinum. They just have to have some good gameplay.
This is Bandai Namco, and for every like 1 to 2 like really great Bandai Namco games, there's at least 6 to 10 just mediocres.
Yeah, this is not mediocre. This is far below the par. The graphics are just, other than like the character models and the fighting animations, the graphics are laughably bad. You could play this on your mobile phone. Like, that's how graphically intensive it is. You know, there's no foliage, there's no ambiance, there's no vibe. The music is stock sort of like JRPG elevator music.
So the one thing I will say about the music, and I think this is why I think you wouldn't have the appreciation for the music, is it's actually the original Japanese score for Dragon Ball Z, which was never used in America. So the fact that American fans actually get to have the Japanese score, not the one that was used for the English dubs that they remember as a kid, that is a neat touch.
Mm-hmm.
That music for you, though, since you don't have that connection with that music, doesn't do it for you.
Yeah.
And I can understand that. That's a totally valid complaint.
What's interesting too is, like, I don't really remember what I remember a lot.
Not to mention
DBZ
that, I mean,
that there was a lack of music in a lot of.
It's a
DBZ.
score the Japanese score. I mean, you gotta remember the things they did for the dubs were a lot of different choices. So there was a completely different score.
Mm-hmm.
Some of the lines were completely changed, of course, because of translations. For Christ's sake, it's the 90s.
Yeah.
The level of translations now and then, the quality of voice acting. I think the original dub, like, Sabbath voices like 12 characters.
Mm-hmm.
He voices a ton of different characters because there wasn't this huge demand for all these various voice actors. There was no union at the time for voice acting. And the 90s was a much different time, and that music might sound dated because it is dated. It's from the early 90s. If it's the original, of course, original Japanese, we're talking early 90s.
Yeah.
Some of it might have even been composed in the late 80s. I don't remember what the timeline for when Dragon Ball Z was first aired in Japan and when it came to America, because it was definitely a couple of years.
I'm actually curious to know if it hits with people, if people dig the music or not. But I found it
the hardcore DBZ fans do connect with it. The ones who are like really into it.
Yeah,
I do know that because I know plenty of them.
Yeah, I mean it's no Persona soundtrack. No. It's no Platinum soundtrack.
Persona 3, 4, and 5 all have such great soundtracks.
Yeah, and like the soundtracks are the soundtrack of a game, in my opinion, is not something that I seek out. It's something that if it hits, then I'll remember it. So there's like a few games that have amazing soundtracks that I just remember it because I had such a good experience with the game. This is just music, like filler, elevator music. You know what I mean?
Music is always one of the things, or lack of music.
And that's what I was going to say about the original DBZ. I remember why I liked it a lot when I watched it was there was a lot of lack of music when they're just sort of doing their monologues. You're silent. You're on the planet. You just hear the sort of wind of the planet. And I always thought that was really cool about DBZ. And this is just like flying around and gonna collect an orb. And then like Master Roshi is a fucking perv, and you have to find like porno mags for him, and it's just like
that's on brand. That's on brand.
Yeah, I know that, but I didn't know that was a thing. I never realized.
Oh yeah, that is deep on brand for Master Roshi.
They go in the game with getting him his porno mags. It's pretty fun.
That
might be the highlight of the game, actually.
That calls back to original Dragon Ball.
Yeah, it's pretty funny.
But yeah, I mean, like that was one of the things. Like in games, for me, it's like, is the music good? Or if there's no music, is there a reason why there's no music? And when I say that, I look at Breath of the Wild.
Yeah, I know what you mean. Yeah,
that game doesn't have a huge selection of score, but it picks and chooses when music happens. Yeah. And there are some places where it doesn't happen because that just adds to the tension or that adds to the specific moment.
Yeah,
it can be like a lack of music can be a huge thing as well.
Yeah.
But for me, music is always going to be a big thing in games, mainly because I play JRPGs. And when you're in specific areas or you're in a battle, if the music's not great, then it just makes the experience that much worse.
Yeah. And I will say that in DBZ, it's forgettable. Like I remember being like this game is fucking terrible.
And that's the thing is, like I said, Japanese score,
just like this weird elevator music that's just and like Persona 4 had like that vibe to it, you know what I mean? It's kind of just like it had a funk to it and it was cool, but it was still elevator music. It was still menu music, you know, when you're in those like transitional periods.
I had this discussion with somebody actually about Persona 5 music. As great as the soundtrack is, and it's a great soundtrack, when you actually listen to like all 100 tracks or whatever it is that actually it's on that soundtrack, which I do have, you'll actually skip a lot of them because there's a difference between listening to them isolated versus having them in the game.
In the context of the game, yeah.
Yeah, like there's plenty of music in Persona 5 that I have on I listen to, and I'll skip it because it's like, you know, it's a 2-minute song that's not really that engaging. But when you're playing the game, it adds to the atmosphere.
Yeah. Yeah, and that's kind of, yeah. And overall, just I was just very, very disappointed in not just DBZ Kakarot, but just the lack of good titles like this. Because I think from the games that I've been playing from Platinum, which have been more recently a mainstay of my gaming, like Nier and like Astral Chain, and I cannot wait for this newly teased one that they're talking about.
3 teased ones?
Yeah.
Maybe a new Nier, who knows?
They just set the bar at this level that I'm like, all right, this is what I come for. And then they throw in that anime sort of like story, and they throw in that anime sort of look and I try to get into it another one, and it's just a fucking
they're more
show.
Original works, that's for sure. Like, as much as I love Dragon Ball Z, like, I mean, it's one of the very first animes I watched. Without Dragon Ball Z, I don't know if I get into anime, like into other anime.
Same.
But Budokai Tenkaichi 2, Budokai Tenkaichi 3. I've played this story so many times. I know it by heart. I don't really need to play it again. Mm-hmm. I don't. I just don't. You know, if they made a new story that was specifically only for the game, maybe that would have been cool. You know, or maybe if they made me be able to play the movies, which you haven't been able to do in previous games. Like, or
if they did the original story in a good way, in a
drastically different system.
Give it the justice it deserves. Give it the big budget.
That's why I like the Game Boy Advance Legacy of Goku games. Those are fun because they played they were like an action RPG. And they're a little dated now, but at the time it was like, oh, this is much different than what your usual Dragon Ball Z game was.
Yeah, I'm curious if you pick this up, I am curious to know what your thoughts are as you're a much bigger Dragon Ball Z fan
my price point I'm looking at is like $20.
Yeah.
I'll pick it up for 20.
I would say any price is too high for this game currently. But I do want to know your thoughts on it.
Did you play it on PC or PS4?
PS4. I have it on PS4.
See, I might get it on PC.
Yeah, either way.
Maybe then it will look better.
I'm very curious as well. It does not.
Listen, I didn't put it. I didn't put it in. I didn't put it in the news. But real quick, while we're on the subject of PC, Marvelous announced that Daemon X Machina is coming to PC. Remember that game?
Yeah. Yes.
And I'm actually hoping that the PC port of that game will be good because the Switch ran pretty poorly for that game. But putting it on PC means you're gonna have a better resolution and maybe a locked 60 FPS for a game that desperately actually needs it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So I don't know. And usually at this point now, especially with PlayStation 4, like I'm looking to get those games on PC if I can.
Yeah, I mean, I usually get most games on PC, but for some reason, I was playing Nier actually, and I was like, oh shit, the Dragon Ball Z game came out. Let me just pick it up. It'll be a game that we can talk about on the show. I haven't had a new game in a while, and I haven't played Dragon Ball Z in a while. It's been since Budokai. That was the last Dragon Ball Z game that I actually played, and I fucking hated Budokai. But it was okay.
Which Budokai Tenkaichi 3? That one was rough. It was rough.
I don't remember which one it was.
Remember the Wii one where you actually had to use the Wiimote and do poses?
Was that on PS2?
Yeah, they were. I think 1 and 2 were on PS2. Maybe
that was 3? The one that I played.
They were not good.
No, they weren't good. But it was like, it was like, all right, I played it. I have a reference point, and I know this looks better than what those games are. So let's try it out. And then I got into it, and I'm like, wow, the fucking fighting in this game looks so sick. Like, the animations are sick. When you're actually in these battles, and they do these big fucking mega moves, and the whole entire world turns a different color, and the animations are at, like, that 12 to 13 frames per second, like, anime look. It's so super cool. And then, all of a sudden, you're thrown into fetch quest after dumb dialogue. I mean, I was just so disappointed. I just wanted to only play the fighting and not these random robotic enemies that only serve as just to buffer the game. It's just filler in the game, and it adds nothing to the story. If you could, you probably should just skip them because you just go through the story and then you're at the perfect level to get into these big drastic fights, which is not how you should play any RPG. That's silliness.
That's the thing. RPGs, like, so when it comes to side missions, and I actually had this discussion with some people the other day about side missions, and I say that, like, side missions can do one of two things. It can make you really enjoy the story being told or the characters that are focused on and really expand upon them, or they can be the most bland, boring things. And one of the things is, like, you take the Tales series, which is another JRPG series. I just finished Tales of Berseria, which was a good game, albeit one of the most depressing RPGs I've played in a while. It ends on a down note. But
That's good. I like
its side quests and its skits, like those little things it has, really makes you like really enjoy the character depth, the character development, the interactions with the characters. There's like these skits where, and you can totally skip them. But like some characters, if you don't do the side content, you're not going to enjoy them as much. And that feels kind of a shame to me, because I feel like side stories shouldn't be what save a character, what save the writing of a game, because you can skip it.
Yeah, and that's actually why I wanted to talk about Assassin's Creed Odyssey, because I was just starting to play that again. And I'm going to try not to make any comparisons to Witcher, but the side missions in Assassin's Creed just contrasted versus the side. Like, Assassin's Creed is a game that gets a lot of shit. Right, it's a laughing stock of the industry. They just remake the game, a different theme every time.
Is it now? I mean, like, it was a laughing stock.
I don't know, but
then
if
I
it
feel
is
like
anymore.
I feel like they redeemed themselves somewhat.
Yeah, I mean, Odyssey, it's an amazing game. It's
like
massive.
It's so big. Is where 3 and then not Black Flag. Black Flag was the one that people actually liked, but it was 3 and then I guess there was another one in there before Odyssey.
I think Black Flag is when it started to turn around, and then Odyssey and the one before Odyssey, which was Origins, Assassin's Creed Origins.
Yeah.
Those are the ones where people were like, oh shit, they're finally starting to maybe
It was 3 that like people really kind of started to hate Assassin's Creed.
Nonetheless, I'm playing it and I'm like, man, this game is just so good. It's so well thought out. There's so many fucking side missions. There's so many characters to explore. There's so many different themes that you have to deal with. You know, there's just so much depth in this game that is sort of kind of cast away and underrated. And then you compare it to a game like DBZ Kakarot, which had a good amount of hype to it, which carries a specific license to it, which kind of brings that hype up even a little bit more. And I'm just like, how are these games even closely rated this? How, like, it just doesn't make much sense to me. It feels as if they get too much of a pass for the license. This game should be really critiqued pretty heavily because it's just so bad in every way other than the main DBZ story, which has been told and told and told and told again. And the fighting is okay. You know, it's just, I think it's just, I don't think if you're a huge DBZ fan, you might find some solace in it. If you want to play through that story over and over again, you might enjoy this take on it. But if you are if you're someone like me who enjoyed DBZ, but you're not the biggest fan of it, you just want to play a good game using these characters and, you know, do some cool moves and stuff. You're
pick
gonna
up fighters. Just pick up fighters. It's a better game.
Yes. You're gonna be
very
disappointed.
Arxis killed it with that game. It's the best Dragon Ball game to ever come out.
Yeah, and I think I actually might, because I don't want my last experience of Dragon Ball Z to be this fucking dog shit of a game. I mean,
I love fighters. This game is so good.
Yeah, I'm gonna. Should I pick it up on PC or Switch? I was actually thinking it on Switch.
I would do research on Switch if you can, because I don't know what the actual
There's still like people playing it on
but
PC, right? If I play online, I'm not gonna.
Yeah, people play. I mean, the netcode is not great, but what fighting game these days actually has good netcode? I'm sorry, nothing's as bad as Smash Brothers. But I mean, you'll hear everyone complain about Tekken's netcode. Street Fighter gets complaints about their netcode. Dragon Ball gets complaints about their netcode. Any Arxis game has a built-in problem with netcode. I love Arxis, but like netcode is not their thing.
Yeah, it seems
they make great games with great mechanics, but playing them online can be a little annoying because you can have up to like 4 to 5 frames of delay.
I wonder what the netcode is for NetherRealms games.
Not the greatest either.
No, I don't know what the consensus is. I mean, because I played Mortal Kombat, I thought it was perfectly fine. I've never had issues with Mortal Kombat Online, but I'm not a diehard fighter game. I'm wondering if it's a regional thing. I'm wondering if the Japanese just don't know how to put together good netcode. You know what I mean?
Yeah, if I just like Google it, there's somebody with a YouTube link of an official NRS statement from June of the netcode problem. Then there's Mortal Kombat Reddit from August that says the netcode of MK11 is a godsend. Then there's a thing from the Steam community from May 1st of 2019. Worst netcode ever.
How much of it you think is netcode, and how much of it you think is people blaming netcode for their inefficiencies?
The one thing I will say about Arc Sys with Dragon Ball is when I don't know if other games do it because I don't play a lot of fighting games online, but like the actual top of the screen when you're playing an Arc Sys fighter usually displays the frame delay.
Oh, interesting.
So honestly, like a majority of the time you'll see like it'll be like 4FR, and I think it's like maybe like D, which should stand for like frame delay.
4 frames.
And it'll tell you what your frame delay is. At least they're honest with you.
So that means you're 4 frames behind?
Pretty much, yeah.
Yeah, that's actually
Which is
excellent. I don't know how you use that information.
But when you compare it to playing like in person, lagless, just like just head to head, like in person, there's a reason why like we call Smash Brothers people that are only good online the Wi-Fi warriors.
Yeah,
they're good online, but they have like when you actually meet them and they have no frame delay to rely on with their campy setups. You kind of beat the shit out of them.
Oh yeah. And speaking of which, I've been playing Byleth a little bit more. He's not as bad as I initially thought he was.
People are all over the place right now with their opinions on Byleth. They really are. MK Leo just won a local down in Mexico with Byleth.
Yeah, but then what does that mean? Is that
it's MK Leo?
Yeah, exactly.
The dude is the best Smash Ultimate player.
What does that exactly mean? He could probably win with any fucking character, to be honest.
That's what I'm saying. It's MK Leo. He's like the person that everyone went, oh, Joker's busted. Joker's a broken character.
Yeah.
No, MK Leo's just a broken player. He's so fucking good.
He really is.
You blame the character because you can't beat the person because the person's just good.
It's what I think adds to Byleth's moveset is that there's a delay on every move that you make. Like even the tilts, there's a delay on. And then you have to add in the fact that there's a netcode delay. And then you have to add in the fact sometimes 99% of the time if you're playing online, you're going to run into even like a lag delay. So you're dealing with a lot of delay there and it feels very sluggish. But once you kind of get the rhythm down, it's pretty fun to play.
I have had pretty much no problems against Byleth with Cloud. Cloud is just I'm back. Yet. I'm back on the Cloud train. That's my main now.
You're back on Cloud, huh?
Yep. I want one more buff to his Nair to make him more like Smash 4, but other than that, I can't think of any more things. Just such a good character.
Let's get into news. The guy who knew Nintendo Switch's surprise ahead of time has pled guilty to hacking. California man has pled guilty to hacking Nintendo servers to steal confidential files, including taking information about Nintendo Switch months before it was announced, the U.S. Department of Justice revealed today. Ryan Hernandez, 21. He's 21 years old and an associate. Fished a Nintendo employee in 2016 to get access and steal confidential information from the company. In October 2017, the FBI contacted Hernandez, and his parents asked him to stop hacking, at which time Hernandez confirmed that he understood the consequences of any future hacking. Then it goes on to say, however, from at least June 2018 to June 2019, Hernandez continued to illegally access confidential corporate information, including to the DOJ, and he broke into multiple Nintendo servers to steal more confidential information. On that forum, Ryan's Underground Hangout, he chatted with others about Nintendo products, including discussing some of the confidential information he had found from the hacking and shared vulnerabilities in the Nintendo's network. He was also charged with possession of child pornography, the DOJ says, and Hernandez has already agreed to pay $259,323 in restitution costs to Nintendo as part of a plea agreement. Hernandez's full sentence will be determined by a judge, which the DOJ says could be up to 5 years in prison for hacking and up to 20 years in prison for possessing child pornography.
So he hacks the system for children and possesses photos of children.
See,
this guy's a fucking creep.
He is a weirdo. But he's also
a child.
He's also 21, and sometimes they kind of tack those things on. Maybe he had a girlfriend maybe he had some underage photos of her.
They tack it on.
Okay, is
for
it
an extra 20 years?
True.
That's the big.
No, it is.
This is the big one.
Yeah, that's definitely gonna fuck him over. But.
No, that shit's kind of fucked up. But at the same time, my thought is he 21 now? Or was he 21 when this was happened? When they caught him 3 years
He's
ago?
21 now, correct? He's 21 now.
So he was 18, 19?
I believe so. Right. That's what I'm saying. Like maybe he had a girlfriend that was like 17 and in the state. I don't know. You know, sometimes the child pornography things, when you're dealing with someone that young, things get a little bit trickier. It's not just like he has pictures of like baby porn.
Right. The dude's not 30. You know what I mean?
Right.
That is a big contextual difference.
Right. So we'll know exactly
it's still not good
of that when the sentencing comes. It's usually just another way to kind of put pressure on him to take a plea, which is exactly what he did. Right. Just take the plea. They're gonna drop these charges. They're gonna give you this. You're gonna have to pay this. Bada bing, bada boom. You're out. And that's
Nintendo's been cracking down a lot lately with this stuff. They cracked down with the Pokemon. Or were they the guys that were leaking the Pokemon stuff?
What did they do? Did they catch him?
They reached out to Discord for like permission for stuff, but I think because of anonymity and probably because of like international laws, it's a little harder for them to go after them.
Right.
But they also did crack down on like all of the emulation sites. Like Nintendo lately with their IPs have not been fucking around.
I mean, they've always been like that though, right?
They've always been like that, but in recent times they've been putting the hammer down.
Yeah, recently they've been more like that guy we were talking about last week who was suing Jagex.
Oh.
They've been pursuing a lot of litigation lately.
Yeah.
Whereas before they would be like, hey, here's a cease and desist. Yeah. And then you would cease and desist and they wouldn't do anything. But now they're like, all right, we're going to send you a cease and desist, but it really doesn't matter. We're going to just take you to court anyway.
Take you to court. You're going to have to pay us even more restitution.
They just got tired of all of the emulation sites out there.
All right. Star Wars Jedi Fallen Order has surpassed 8 million units sold, exceeded EA's expectations. Wow, a great story-driven Respawn
single-player experience with no microtransactions.
Exactly, it does really well for you. Oh, who would?
That's a new game, not from 1998.
Yeah, good for
them. It's not the same formula you've gotten used to repeatedly with your Battlefront series.
Yeah,
wow, shocker!
I'm happy for
it. It's a new-ish formula. I wouldn't say it's a completely new formula.
But for Respawn though,
true. Which is fair for Respawn. For Respawn, it is new. You're right. I'll accept that. It's just the whole like we already went through 3 years ago where everything is the Dark Souls of X.
Yeah. No, that meme was fucking
Star
dead.
Souls. But I'm very happy that this just hopefully EA learns from this and they continue to put games like this out like they used.
Hope to see a sequel.
Yeah.
I would love a better like a game that's like builds upon everything they started with and makes it truly I don't want to say truly fantastic because it's a fantastic game, but like takes that next step.
Yeah. But
God, that would be fucking
they
dope.
Don't fuck with it too much. Leave it. Let them do their thing. Respawn seems to have really good rapport over at EA, and this just solidifies it. Like the guys at Respawn pretty much have king status now. They could create anything they want. That's what it sounds like to me. EA gives them free reign. Create whatever you want. We're not going to impede on anyway. We'll just give you the publishing, our publishing avenues, and you're going to sell a fucking shitload of copies. You're going to make a shitload of money. You're all going to be millionaires, and you're going to put out fucking great games for these kids.
And Titanfall fans are still mad because they're not going to get Titanfall 3.
You never know. They might. I mean, Respawn's got the cash now, man. They can call it. Hey,
they're putting all that money in. They're doing all that stuff with Apex. They're not gonna do Titanfall 3.
I don't know how much more money they're gonna be putting into Apex. And
Titanfall 2 didn't really sell all that well.
Yeah, that's the thing. Is hey, EA, we need some money.
Maybe at the time was because Titanfall wasn't as known, and now you have Apex, which feeds into the Titanfall lore.
It was reviewed well. It got critical acclaim. It just didn't have monetary success, but we'll see. Maybe we will get a Titanfall. I don't know.
I mean, I'm all in.
I would much rather more of
Respawn.
this stuff though from Respawn than another Titanfall or another Apex clone or something like that. Keep giving me this type of quality of game because I was very impressed by this title. All right. Oh yeah.
Let's
Medieval 2
switch.
remake in development according to cryptic tweets from composer.
The first one didn't do that well.
No, it did not. It didn't receive very good critical acclaim. It didn't. I mean, I played Medieval when I was younger. I wasn't excited about this remake.
And I was really sad because I heard Medieval 2 and I got really excited because I thought it was Total War Medieval 2.
Nope.
That would have been good.
So there you go. You get a
Give me a Total War Medieval 3. I will accept that. But yeah, here's you don't want to listen to me.
Where's my Ape Escape? Where's my Ape Escape remake?
Chuck it onto the list of 20-year-old games that we gotta try to sell again for a 13th time.
Hey man, did you see the Final Fantasy VII remake trailer?
No.
Yes, I did.
Yeah, they showed way too much.
So what? Everyone knows the fucking story already.
I know. It's just like I would have really enjoyed to see like Red 13.
Then don't watch it, dude. Close your eyes. Where did you watch it? You were like, no.
I watched it. Dude, I fucking totally watched it.
No, I'm seeing too much.
I was definitely gonna watch it. Yeah. It looked great. It looked good. Like it actually looks like a remake that's worth it.
Yeah, exactly. It looks like a fresh new take on, an old series, and
it's how a remake should be done. You shouldn't just remake completely the same exact game.
Well, I was just about to bring up
you should
Warcraft
change
3,
stuff.
and I think this because we had this as a debate on the show many times. The debate between the remake and the remake. And this is a classic example of why you have to be very specific with those terms. And I think that's why Blizzard has been getting in some heat, because maybe some people thought they were doing a remake. Some people thought it was just a remaster, so they weren't as anticipating much. But from what I saw, there was a lot of other technical things in the way that people were upset about, but mainly just like it was a remaster. It's not really a remake.
Yeah, like that's why I'm like Xenoblade Chronicles, when the remaster comes out, like it'll be good, but it's not like changing the story or really drastically doing all this stuff where like the Final Fantasy VII remake is a true to form remake, different battle system. The story beats are completely different.
It's a different engine.
It's telling almost a different story. It's telling with like a not a completely new story, but it's definitely not the same story you remember to the T.
Yeah. But who knows? Maybe they release it and it is a remaster and we are deceived and this is all just CG bullshit. I mean, you never know until the game's actually released, right?
Yeah. But I actually am very happy that Final Fantasy VII Remake got delayed because it comes out on Good Friday, which I have off of work.
There you go.
So I'm no-lifing that game on the 10th of April.
I'll probably do the same. It looks fucking. All right, Wonderful 101 Remaster gets a Kickstarter, not limited to only the Switch. What is this? It's all in Japanese. Wow,
this was the Wii U game that Platinum made. It was one of the first, like, I'm trying to understand. Apparently, Nintendo still kind of owns the rights to this, but they're allowing. They didn't want to. I guess they didn't want to pay to have it remade or remastered. I'm sorry, remastered.
Dude, did you watch this video? By the way, the Platinum offices look sick.
Yeah, this wasn't like I played this game on the Wii U. It wasn't my kind of game, but it has a very hardcore fan base. Like the people that like it really like it.
What type of game is it? I know nothing about this.
It's I don't know how to explain it. So like I don't want to say it's like Pikmin, but you have like 101 different heroes that you kind of control.
Oh boy.
So that's where it kind of like gets that Pikmin vibe from, where you have like you can have up to like tens of Pikmin and you kind of order them to do stuff. It's kind of that game,
which is really just a newer version of Lemmings.
Yeah. But it had.
But Lemmings and Pikmin were cool to me personally because it was just like cute little blobs. You know what I mean?
Yeah. I'm kind of kill our lemmings today. You know?
Yeah. Like I'm more on Doobie's side of this, where it's just like I don't know, for something. The idea of like Pikmin or Lemmings style like control over like these weirdly animated characters ain't vibing with me.
So Wonderful 101 was a Wii U game that's considered an action adventure game. It was created by Hideki Kamiya and Atsushi Inaba, who also were the guys who worked on Akami and Beautiful Joe.
Okay.
So it had really good reviews.
Wait, Beautiful
but
Joe
didn't
is a
sell
Platinum
well.
game?
It was a Capcom game, but
But the guy
the
who made
people that the
right.
people from Platinum used to work at Capcom when
And
they made that, and then they moved to Platinum.
Right.
I'm
just gonna keep this guy.
But yeah, so it was it didn't sell very well. I mean, nothing sold very well on the Wii U to begin with. But I remember if it was like, I think it was one of the first like Wii U games that people talked about that wasn't like a Nintendo game, and it was
Beautiful
Platinum.
Joe?
No, the Wonderful 101.
Beautiful Joe was a GameCube game, wasn't it?
That was a GameCube game, but it also came out on PS2 and a bunch of other systems.
Right. Oh yeah.
So this one, I believe this Kickstarter is for the publishing costs. It had a goal of like 50,000, and it's already it's over $1 million already.
Yeah.
So the people want it. People want this game. And they're gonna put it on PS2, Switch. I'm sorry, PS4, Switch, and
mind you, everyone, it is a remaster. It is not a remake. They're not remaking the game from scratch. They're not remaking a new engine. They're remastering the assets of the title.
It will be
this is my new rule. This is my new rule. If you want to do a remake or a remaster, excuse me, and get me to actually be on board with them for once, actually release okay. Doobie's little fuck up just made me think of this. Make it again for the PS2. Make it again, but you have to play it on Wii.
Make it a demake.
Like we're just gonna we're gonna up the quality a bit, but like, nah, dude, you can play this on PS3. Like this is actually where you're supposed to play it.
You're gonna demaster it, man. They do demakes. There's a Final Fantasy VII NES demake that was made from fans.
Shout out to Grocery Boy for the sub at tier 1, baby. Thank you. 11th month streak. God damn, Grocery Boy, you're killing it, man.
Yo, almost a year.
Love you, baby.
But yeah, no. So I mean, they're gonna be changing this game a little bit up because the Wii U had the whole gamepad and everything. So it's gonna be a little different because they got to change the UI for that. But yeah, this is the first step in Platinum Games Platinum 4 project. I don't know what that means. You got 4 games coming.
Yeah, we don't know what it all means yet, but that's our next news topic. I'm so pumped. There's a big 4 on the screen. It's floating around. Platinum. Hashtag Platinum 4 site is open.
I'm going to make a guess on 2 of these games right now.
All right, do it.
One of them's going to be Bayonetta 3.
Astral Chain 2.
Bayonetta 3. And I think
why do you think
maybe a new Nier?
You don't think a new Astral Chain?
I think Astral Chain 2 will be much later. I don't think it's going to come yet. But I think 2 of these games is Bayonetta 3, and I think one of the games
2 of them are going to be 2 different Bayonettas?
No, I think it's just going to be the sequel. We haven't heard anything about Bayonetta 3 in like 2 years now.
Oh, you mean 2 of these games? Well, one will be Bayonetta 3.
One will be Bayonetta 3, and one will be a new Nier game.
I'll be very hyped for
Nier Automata was too successful for them not to capitalize on making another one.
Yep, I would love a new Nier. Absolutely. I'll buy it right now.
Then the 4th one, totally up in the air. I don't know. It could be a remaster of the Transformers game for all I fucking know.
I hope we get a new IP from them. Wait, aren't they making another game though? What is it called? Babylon or something?
Weren't they doing a fantasy game?
Babylon's Fall. Yes, Babylon's Fall. They're making Babylon's Fall. So that's
no, that was Monolith Soft.
Probably one of them. So Babylon's Fall will be one of them. I'm assuming. I heard speculation about Bayonetta. Astral Chain is on sale. Astral Chain, I think they can literally take the same engine, spruce it up a bit, give me a different story, give me some different give me some different chains, and then you have Astral
Do you
Chain.
think Astral Chain is a Switch exclusive in a year?
Yes.
You do?
Yeah.
You don't think it moves to PS4 and PC?
I don't know. I don't think so.
Wonderful 101 is being moved, so I don't know.
PS4's dead. You know what I mean? Like it's gonna be dead. And I'm not exactly sure. I don't know.
I don't know how the sales of Astral Chain went. I don't know if they were like really great.
I don't see too many people talk about it. I mean, the game is fucking phenomenal. You haven't even played it yet. It's an excellent.
It sold cool. 1 point as of December. It did sell over 1 million copies.
That's pretty good.
It's not bad for a pretty niche title.
Yeah, it's a phenomenal game.
I think that's why Demon X Machina is getting that treatment of being put to like PC and I think PS4 is because it didn't even crack 1 million.
Yeah.
And at this point, with 52.8 million Switches out in the market now, to not crack 1 million is a little disappointing.
Yeah, this is the Babylon's Fall game that this was shown at E3, I believe. No, this was shown somewhere, but it looks fucking sick. It looks like a Bayonetta, sort of like, you know, fantasy title with, you know, near elements to it, and even Astral Chain elements to it. As I just saw a big ass chain get whipped out of there. This looks fucking sick. I mean, I'm just pumped for whatever they're coming out with. They've easily been one of my favorite, exciting new develop. I guess not new, but to me they're kind of new developers. Oh well, here's one of them. Oh, we do have one. Wonderful 101 is one. So that's noted up on their website.
Mm-hmm.
And then we don't know the next 3. Okay. Babylon's Fall is not listed on here, even though it was revealed. Jesus, how many games are they fucking making?
Platinum,
Maybe
man.
these are 4 different, like, you know, smaller titles? You know what I mean?
I wonder if we're getting a new Okami game.
Yeah, this could be like 4 different, like 4 smaller titles. And not these big, you know, AAA titles that they release. All right. Nintendo, this is a big one. Nintendo does not have any plans to release a Switch Pro during 2020. No Switch model in 2020. We're not going to see a new Switch this year. Dang.
I didn't think we would.
I thought we might have.
I think it's too soon after the Switch Lite. And I think like a new Switch model would be probably better off for like 2021.
Yeah, I guess so. I guess it's going to have to. I mean, they're going to have to release a new Switch model in 2021. They're going to have to. That's my guess.
I'm almost wondering if they just keep doing what they've kind of been doing with like the Switch, where they just get rid of their back product and then release not like a straight up new Pro, but like another just like update where it's like, oh, this one has a little bit more better battery life, or now undocked it runs, you know, 1080p.
Well, these are from the financial briefings. That it would have said it on there. It would have had.
Yeah, they would. SKUs. They would have to have said that at a shareholders meeting or something.
Yeah. So this is that they're not getting any new Switches except for the Animal Crossing one, which is in the next one. And it looks,
well, they didn't. I mean, this is just model. They're not talking about like special editions.
Yeah. This is different. Cool. You get a little Animal Crossing dock, which looks cute, but
which is the next news story we have.
Yeah, the Joy-Cons like fucking.
So
great.
Those Joy-Cons are going to be sold separately in Japan.
Yeah.
So if anybody wants to grab these Joy-Cons,
I might, dude.
Unfortunately, the Japanese, the Nintendo online store for Japan does not ship internationally. But Play Asia might be a site to keep your eye on because they do frequently like ship international stuff that like this you might not be able to find.
They're getting on Amazon the day it releases.
I actually don't believe that Amazon Japan ships internationally either. I'm not sure.
Yeah, but they have the third party, you know, the third.
Yeah, you might be looking at eBay at the worst case scenario. Like
I might just sell my Switch and buy one of the new ones.
Yeah, this one looks awesome.
Or you can do that.
This one looks awesome.
I mean, to be fair, I
thought about it. To be honest, it looks really good.
I could use an upgrade on that battery life.
How about a fucking Switch Lite with like that teal color?
That just the mint green and that like
the white
that
with the white.
Well, I'm saying like the Joy-Cons like that like it's like a mint green to me.
Yeah, it's like a mint and like, just like that teal.
That light blue is so good looking.
Yeah, it looks cool. And then the design on the back of on the Animal Crossing one looks really sharp too.
Yeah, I'm hoping they start to do this for more games. We had the Switch Lite for the Pokemon.
Crossing case that you can get for it looks pretty sharp.
Yeah, and that dock is really clean.
Yeah, the dock's pretty cool too. I don't know if if that's sitting in the entertainment center. Yeah, it's a little bit of an eyesore, but pretty.
The dock? I don't know that dock. I would proudly show that off. I'm not an Animal Crossing fan, but. I'm not an Animal Crossing fan, but if they did one for Zelda, like Breath of the Wild 2,
like just the Triforce logo or something,
something real sleek looking though, like a Not a
But dude,
holographic,
that's what
but
I'm
with
saying,
like a
dude.
shimmering gold. Oh
How hard
man.
is it to make a Switch fucking 2, right? You just give me like a 1080p OLED, mobile display on there that's actual glass, not this fake plastic bullshit. Get rid of the bezels, and then give me some like nice, like, I don't know, polycarbonate Joy-Cons that don't flex, some steel rails. Give me a big fat battery I can
How much are
slap
you
on
willing to
there.
pay for that?
I'll pay a massive amount of money for something
You willing
like
to pay
that.
600?
I don't know, not that much. That's a little.
That's what I'm saying.
That's up there.
Because you got to remember, Nintendo does not sell these for a loss.
I'd probably pay like 500 for, if it was nice enough. I'd probably pay like 500 for it, for sure.
Because with Nintendo, they're not going to sell it for a loss. They're going to make their money on it.
It's a mobile gaming device. I could throw some money down, but it's got to have the hardware. It's got to be slick. Yeah, you're right though. I don't know if they have the budget for it or something like that. At least put a nice screen on there. I'm not the biggest fan of the screen quality as much as I was when it first came out. It does. That plastic screen is just not good.
It's 3 years old now. Well, it will be in March.
And that was pretty old screen technology when it came out. You know what I mean? They're using like
I would
screen.
say
They're using
take a look.
Screen.
Take a look at whatever Nvidia's doing. See if there's anything they're doing that might hint towards it. Because they got that partnership with Nvidia for it.
Maybe they're just waiting on a chipset. I don't know. Maybe they do have one ready down the pipe. They're just waiting for like the console wars to start off.
Nintendo's never they're on their own timeline.
Yeah.
There's no more generations with them.
I don't know, dude.
Gen 8, Gen 9.
They released the Switch at a perfect time. Time. So they do.
Everyone who bought a PS4 and an Xbox had already pretty much bought their PS4s and Xboxes. There was really no competition for that.
Yeah, they do wait for the market. Like they watch the console market. I definitely believe that. I don't know if they participate as much in it, but they're not just gonna drop a pro model whenever they're ready. They're gonna wait and see like what's PS5 doing, what's Xbox
putting the system out in March was pretty unprecedented. Was pretty unprecedented too. Like everyone sat there and went, Nintendo's going to release a system not around the holidays, but like in like the end of winter. That doesn't make any sense. And then it sells like a motherfucker. Just proving that the fanboys are there.
They released it with one game too.
That ran better on the previous console.
Yeah. All right. Last one. PS5 website is live. Ooh, I didn't know this.
Yeah, I did that because apparently the PS5 website went live for a little bit, so people are guessing, hey, we might get an announcement soonish then.
When's PlayStation's thing?
Pretty soon, I think. So I think that's why people are guessing that it went live, and hey, it might be soon.
Well, the PlayStation Experience, their usual thing, that's usually in December.
Oh, is it?
Right, but they didn't do it.
When's TGS?
Oh, right, they didn't do it.
When is TGS this year? September. Yeah, no, that's too late still.
Yeah, no, I think they got to do it soonish if they want to put it out at the same time as like the Xbox.
Not up anymore?
I'm not sure.
Because like I could totally see Tokyo Game Show if it was earlier being a thing. Because they're skipping E3 again.
There's a form on PlayStation.com that says sign up if you want to be notified when.
I mean, maybe they just announced it at a state of play, which
they're gonna announce
have not been good
at their own show, man.
Yeah, so they got to announce the show first. Yeah, an announcement of an announcement.
All right, let's get into some tech and get out of here. Well, let's first before we get into Fuji, let's talk about the YouTube thing, which we can all participate in. YouTube says it will ban misleading election-related content. On the day of the Iowa caucuses, the video platform rolled out a complete policy of how it planned to handle false election content. Interesting. And it also seems Facebook is kind of going down the same route where they're going to start removing quote-unquote fake news. And I don't know. I really don't know how to feel about stuff like this. Because on one hand, I'm like, obviously you don't want fake bullshit out there, but on the other hand, you kind of do. You kind of do want that. You kind of want that balance. You want to be able to see what someone's thinking at all times. And I don't know exactly if this is the right move, but it's a fascinating move nonetheless, because Facebook is also kind of doing the same thing. And to sort of I don't know, come together on this, I don't know, it's a little interesting. All right. Sorry, I had to let my dog out. I don't know. What do you think?
I mean, I don't know. I can see why they're doing it, but I think they're under more pressure than just. They're getting too big, so now they're under pressure from every fucking major political entity in the world, pretty much. It's shitty. It is a gray line, but if it is executed well, I don't have an issue with it. But I doubt it's going to be executed well.
Yeah. It's definitely not going to be.
No.
It's not going to go over well for YouTube.
It's one of those things where it's like it's great in premise, but it is walking a tightrope, and like
How do you do it?
very easily fuck that up.
Yeah, like how do you even do it?
Poorly. Look at Twitter.
Yeah. Twitter has its own problem. I mean, it's so interesting to me that they're even attempting to do stuff like this, because it's so difficult. It's such a difficult problem. Like, obviously, like, fringe stuff that's just completely deep fake bullshit, that stuff is easy to kind of spot. And everyone, I think, will agree, like, you know, it's not a loss if you lose something like that. But there's gonna be a point where maybe they take something down that shouldn't have been taken down, or they allow something that shouldn't have been allowed, and then immediately you start up this entire, like, firestorm of conspiracy, and it just kind of leaves a bad taste in everyone's mouth. And it's just another problem of, like, these gigantic. I mean, it's like you said, YouTube's size is its biggest problem, really. It's its biggest problem, and there's no real way to fix it, especially not with algorithms. And, you know, after the whole thing they did with The Verge did with the Facebook content moderators, I mean, that is not even a job that a human could do. It's just so bad. It's putting these people at risk for no reason whatsoever. And I don't know. It's tricky. And then we have the Iowa Caucus app. So the Iowa caucuses have been a complete shit show. It looks like some of the results have been. I haven't seen it because I walked my dog and came back. And then Doobie said that there were some results up. I don't know if all the results have been reported.
I still don't even think all of them have been yet.
No, it's still only 62%, according to Google, which I trust. Yeah. So the original sort of thing was that the app that people needed to use, which they've used in 2016, they used this before. It was having issues. Some people were saying that the app itself was the issue. Some people were saying that just a big concentrated area of people all trying to use their cell phone was an issue. And I think it's just kind of a firestorm of it all. But this really just points to the fact that they need to figure this shit out. Like, how have we not figured out a good technological way that we can cast a fucking vote in this country? It's asinine. True. It is asinine. I understand that you need to make sure that, you know, identities are legit, but we barely do a good job at that now. You know what I mean?
True.
There's so many problems with voter fraud, and I don't know. It's really sad because it hurts. Ultimately, it hurts the Democratic Party, right? It really hurts their reputation. There's so many jokes being made. I mean, they can't even fucking get the goddamn results out, right? Now, another theory is that this was purposely sort of orchestrated to hinder a candidate that is unsavory to the DNC, which I don't know if I'm 100% behind, but we've seen it happen in 2016, so it would make sense for it to happen again, you know, for them to fuck over Sanders basically. And that's kind of where a lot of people's minds go immediately with this. Sanders is pretty much slated to win the Iowa caucus, and then what happens? You know, as soon as elections open up, it breaks, and they can't get the numbers, and they have to do this quote unquote quality control. Get out of here! What are you bothering me for?
Yeah, no, it's all weird, dude. I don't like. I get if
it's really a joke.
It is. Like I get like if the technology breaks, but like why didn't you also just have a standard like pen and paper, like pencil and paper normal voting anyway?
Yeah. I think they did. I think they said they had some sort of paper trail, and then it was a matter of I don't even fucking know. It's a joke. And then the company that was behind all of this is Shadow Incorporated. So just to put the icing on the cake, they hired a company called Shadow Incorporated to deal with
just to let you know they're spooky.
Rates. Yeah, yeah. And then lastly, Fuji released another camera. They're just nonstop lately. The
yes, and also in this conference, because this came from the Fuji X Summit, they confirmed that an XT4 will be announced on February 26th.
Interesting. Are they announcing it somewhere or just online?
I think I'm not 100% sure because that was still finishing up when we started doing the show.
I wonder why they wouldn't announce it here either. Maybe it's just not ready.
I don't think they have enough time because sometimes people were wondering if they were going to bring out a prototype because they did that last year. Like they brought out a prototype of the X Pro 3 and kind of showed it before that was like truly announced, like full announced spec wise and stuff. But I don't think they really did that either.
Yeah, it's interesting. I mean, you'd think they would announce it at the FujiCon or whatever it's called.
Right, but, especially if they're only delaying it by a couple of weeks.
Or like a couple of weeks. Yeah,
because this isn't the release, you know, this is just the announcement of a release, and it's just like you had to delay that, really. Mm-hmm. But okay.
When was XT3 released? Last year?
2018.
So it's a 2-year cycle.
Yeah, it is. This is quicker because usually it's been in like the quarter 3-ish.
Yeah.
Like so every 2 years, but now it seems like they're trying to ramp it up for like a March release, which sounds interesting. I'm interested. I'm a Fuji person, so I'm really all ears.
Yeah. And I'm looking for a great all-around sort of camera, not necessarily a point and shoot, but I've been leaning towards a point and shoot to replace the RX100. And Fuji seems to be, I mean, this camera definitely piqued my interest at first, but we'll talk about the reasons why I'm not 100% on it yet. Real quick, Grocery Boy says there's a great documentary called Hacking Democracy. It takes 5 seconds to hack those vote machines. Correct. I did watch that. It's a pretty fascinating documentary. And yeah, I mean, just voting in this country in general is, it's so stupid, honestly. It's so stupid. All right. So with the X100V, this is a step up from the previous camera that they released not too long ago, which was the X200.
No, it was the X100F. The X100 line is always the X100.
No, I'm talking about the one they just released.
The XT200, that is a completely different camera.
XT200, is that the one?
The XT200 was one up from the XT100, but the X100 is a completely different line.
Yeah. Yeah, I was talking about the XT200 with the flip screen.
Yeah.
So the XT200 is, and this is a interchangeable lens camera, APS-C. It's basically, and it's $800. It's basically a 6200 competitor for Fuji, where this camera, it's what we were arguing before the show is kind of where this fits in the camera world. It's a very niche camera. So the first thing is not interchangeable lens. It's not an ILC camera. It's a fixed 35mm f2 lens on there. It's like a hybrid rangefinder, and I mean, it looks gorgeous. It's got like the whole Fuji sort of Leica-esque design to it. And it's mainly like a street camera. That's mainly what it's for. It's kind of like that Leica equivalent. But it's way cheaper than a Leica. Way cheaper than a Leica. And it's also more expensive than a XT200 or the A6200 or whatever version they're on.
Well, the quality on this is way better than the XT200.
Yeah.
Because the XT200 and the XA7, like the two budget lines, those are a different sensor and processor and everything like that. Yeah. But they're close. They do a good job. Those aren't the X-Trans either, and this one is, but that's can be a good thing or a bad thing depending on what side of the X-Trans processors like formatting you're on. I don't care that much personally. It's still a good sensor though. Like the XT200 and the XA7s. Mm-hmm. Fuji does have to fix their naming scheme. Yeah, they have like a couple of really great. Well, no, like I'm fine with the X's. They have like a couple of great ones, but they're getting way too muddled in like, okay, so we have the XA7 and the XT200 that are basically the exact same camera, just one has a viewfinder on it. That's the only fucking difference between those two cameras. And then,
but then there's the XTs, and then the XTs.
The XTs all make sense. It's when you get to the X100s where it's like, okay, now there's a new X100V for 5, but before it was the XT104 or F.
There's an X100T.
Yes, third.
Yeah, their naming scheme's a little funky, but nonetheless, what I think is interesting is that in terms of practicality use, it's not a camera for everyone. So it's not like the XT200, which is more of like a beginner all-arounder. But it's also not a camera. It's not an interchangeable lens camera. So it's not a camera where people want to swap different lenses. It's this interesting sort of niche market that's right in between there, and it's in a higher range of it because it's $1,500. So
it is your ultimate point and shoot, just with a fixed lens. Yeah, basically. Yeah, like I think this is mostly a competitor for. It's a fantastic street camera, but I think its second main audience is travel. It's a travel cam. It's an RX100 Canon X3, whatever the fuck they call it. That's really just an RX100. Like I think it's
double the price.
True, but it's also double the image quality.
Right, but half the usability and focal range, maybe. So it's like,
yeah, I guess yes, it is.
So this is my thing with Fuji. It's like they do these interesting things where they fix the lens through a camera, which is not unseen before. We've seen this before, but then it's like they also put a weird screen on one camera. So they fill these very niche markets, and I just find it so interesting because I don't exactly because I think this camera is really cool, and I love the rangefinder design. It's one of the reasons why the X Pro, I believe, right? The X Pro with the
X Pro
on it. There's one of the reasons why it's very attractive to me because I love that rangefinder design. It's compact, especially when you like this lens is sick because it's so tiny. It doesn't jut out at all. And
it's tiny, but it's been improved a shit ton. Like the actual image quality coming out of this lens is really fucking nice.
Yeah,
I'm impressed. That's where for me it's like I'm willing to only shoot at 35 because I'm a person who likes 35. But like I'm willing to only shoot at 35 if the image quality is actually really good instead of like an RX 100 or the Canon one where it's like it's got a lot more usable focal range, but like some of those aren't that good looking, honestly, image quality wise to me.
And
it's partially the sensor, but it looks like the RX 100 and the Canon. Yeah, like it's.
Oh, they're not even close.
They're not
even close.
Like I will gladly say, hey, I have to say locked at this focal range if the image coming out is actually pleasing to me.
That is what I'm very curious about. I'm very curious to know who else agrees with that. Myself, I don't like primes. I like the 35 millimeter range. I think it's a great all around range. but to be locked to it at $1,500 is pretty. That's a big
At the
ask.
price,
That's
no,
a big
at the
ask.
it is a bigger ask, but to me, like, if I was gonna go buy an RX 100, like the newest RX 100 at like $1,200 or whatever, I would totally consider stepping up to this.
So this, and this is the camera that I wanted to kind of compare it to. Also, is the Ricoh GR3, which is also
Now that's a more compelling option, but you're gonna lose out on video.
yeah, you're losing out on video, but to be fair, it's not really a video camera anyway.
No, but I mean, that's a plus to the RX 100 line, the Canon line, and now the Fuji one is like, they still do take good enough video.
Yeah.
Especially the Fuji. Like the Fuji, it's an XT3.
Yeah.
Like that's the image quality of the video. It actually still has a headphone jack on it. It still has, technically, you can still make a mic out for headphones and a mic in. It still has an HDMI port on it that can do 10-bit video if you really want.
Yeah. Yeah, and you lose that on the GR, but it is a little cheaper. It's about $600 cheaper.
It is a lot cheaper. If you're mostly going for pictures, I think the Ricoh GR is really cool.
It's the same kind of like street lens camera, pocketable street camera. And I mean, the Ricoh it's pretty popular. There's a good amount of people that really enjoyed this camera. Is this also a black and white sensor? I don't know if it's a black and white sensor that's colorized in a certain way, but there's a reason why people really like the Ricoh. I forget what it is. But I mean, it's like a street photographer camera. And the Fuji is kind of in that same lane. So the Fuji's obviously the better pick there, but it is the more expensive pick. And this is the thing. And I'm gonna see how much just a 35 millimeter prime is. So for Canons,
now it's a lot. Now it's a lot cheaper, because if you're to go Fuji route, you can now just buy an XT30, which is literally the same exact camera, and then go buy the XC23 f2, which is a very fucking similar lens. It's going to be a little bit bulkier. That's a $900 camera and a $200 lens.
Right, and that's
for literally the same image. So I do get that, but it is a bulkier system, but it is a more versatile system too.
Yeah. So that's where the interest, like, and then like and
it doesn't look that bad. I mean, let's be real.
It's not even that big.
It's not.
It's
still the XT30 line or like the 20 line or whatever they're still fucking tiny ass cameras.
Yeah, that's not even that big.
It's without a lens, it's like 360 grams.
So for like, just to put in perspective, like a Canon EF 35 millimeter prime 1.4 is $1,700 for just the lens. So you're already in the green on the Fuji, and you get a camera system attached to that lens. You're basically buying a 35 millimeter prime lens with a camera attached to it, rather than looking at it the other way, where you're buying into a camera system.
True, but if you did want to buy into a camera system, this is the exact same sensor. This is the exact same sensor. It's the exact same camera for all intents and purposes. You can just change the lens on it. But now that they always offered a lens for $400, which would be the same price, but obviously the lens on the X100 is a lot. It's a beautiful little pancake lens. You won't be able to get that small travel wise. But I get your point there, where it's like, yeah, dude, this is literally the same camera, and I can get a lens for it for $200. That's literally the same focal length and brightness.
Mm-hmm. Speed, yeah.
Like,
yeah, and that's the thing with Fuji. They do these very weird niche cameras. They fill this.
But that thing is also this big.
Yeah,
this isn't that big of a camera, but that camera is still cutting this much, like that much, completely off of this camera.
Yeah, it's a very small camera. It's pretty interesting. Not sure if it's for me.
I mean, it's not for me because I already own this. I'm just gonna slap my 23 on. You know what I mean?
Say that this camera had an interchangeable lens mount on there, and they sold that lens separately.
That would be pretty tight.
Interesting, and they sold it for maybe
but then
like
I would still keep it this
less. That's a pretty interesting bargain.
I mean, that's what this camera is.
Yeah,
that's pretty much literally what this camera is.
Yeah.
Just not a rangefinder. You want the XE line.
I want the
which
X
they
Pro
haven't
line, but with a screen, a regular screen on it. Essentially, is what I like.
Yes. But like for this, for if you want the cheaper one, they used to have. They haven't updated it. We're waiting on an
What's it called?
XE4, XE, and that is like this. That's like the 2030 line. It's a lot cheaper, but it would still be an XT3 sensor, etc., like that. But it is in a rangefinder style body.
Yeah.
But it screens more like a rangefinder, and I think just completely glued to it.
Yeah. It's not technically a rangefinder because there's no. I don't think there's an EVF on this.
On the XE, there is.
Like a pop-up one.
I'm pretty sure. Oh, I don't know if the XE
No, I think it's
does.
just a screen.
No, the XE I'm pretty sure has an EVF.
I don't see it. It's not showing me the back of the camera. I don't see the back of the camera.
Yeah, because it's on the side. It's on the far side, just like the X Pro.
Yeah, I see it there. Yeah.
Like the XE
With the
line.
18 and 55.
Right, the
And
XE line
is glued
was
in.
right, and it's the screen's glued in, so you don't get that like you'd want. But that was the budget X Pro line. Like the XT 20 and 30 is the budget XT3.
Right.
But they haven't updated it in forever. So the newest X is the XE3, and that's still actually running off of the XT2 sensor, which you don't necessarily want in 2020.
Right. We're looking for an upgrade to this camera, and then that's the camera that I want, and it's still an ILC. Yeah, and it's $1,000.
It was. This thing's way cheaper now. This thing's probably like $500.
Because it's still with the lens. That's what it's saying.
If you're buying it new, but I wanted because it's an X-Trans 3, which is the XT2 era. You don't want to buy this camera in 2020, is guess what I'm saying, unless you're buying it used.
No, I'm talking about the new one. If they were to release a new one.
True. If they release a new one, if they released a new one with like the XT4-ish type stuff, like at the end of the year, early next year, that would be pretty dope.
Interesting. Yeah, and I love the size of this. This would fill that gap for me, and I wouldn't need the A6000 or the RX100. This would fill that for me. I love the Fuji photo look. I'm more when I get this is going to be more of a photo camera for me. As I think Fuji takes some beautiful photos.
They do. I'm a fan. I'm a Fuji fanboy. It's okay.
But anyways, I have to get out of here. But anyways, the X100V is an interesting choice.
I like it. I like it. I wasn't expecting to like it because I didn't like the last one.
It's just
I didn't like the last one, but now seeing that's fair. I think the reason why I'm liking it a lot more is just, I mean, it got the sensor update, which is really nice. But the big thing really was that new lens actually looks really fucking sick for a small pancake lens.
Yeah, it looks
like
good.
That's what makes it way more interesting to me, where it's like the lens's sharpness is insane. Yes, that would be really nice. I'd be very happy, but I doubt that's gonna happen.
For them to marry the two is a fascinating choice. They're just going after they're going after that Leica market is essentially what they're doing. Because I mean, I'm looking at the photos from
they've had,
and they're all black and white. They kind of have the Leica shading.
No, they do that a lot. Like, to be completely honest, they do that shit a lot, and like it works for them because that is a lot of their main market share.
No one wants to buy a Leica.
That is a lot of their market share is like the Leica-esque street crowd. Like street people buy Fujis like they going out of stock. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So that's why this camera makes sense for Fuji to sell to me, because like that is kind of Fuji's core market. And if you could take that as a travel backup cam, like that's a pretty sick little travel cam.
Yeah, it looks great. Looks so cool. It looks way better than the XE.
Yeah, I wish I could buy that lens though. You're right. Because they
Yeah,
have
like,
a
are you
they
gonna
have
buy
a
this camera?
no, probably not.
That's what I mean.
Because I
It's a
already have
very
the small one.
niche. It's a very even if you didn't, even if you didn't, you have the choice to buy that setup, and I think most people will.
I would
choose the
consider
other
it
setup.
actually. I would consider like I wouldn't buy this if this was my only setup, but I would actually consider it just because I know I like 35. I know I would be able to shoot almost everything that I want to shoot with 35. So that wouldn't be a huge limitation for me. Like,
I think you say that.
dude, I grew up shooting primes. Like, that's half of my stuff nowadays.
Isn't a prime. This is a locked. You're gonna have to buy a new camera. You want to shoot any other
True.
focal range. You have to buy a whole new system essentially.
No, true. Like, but I think I could do with
it's
it.
It's a big ask.
Right,
This is
I
for
agree,
someone
I
who
agree.
wants like a backup 35
No,
millimeter.
yeah. I don't think you would want to buy this as a single camera, but I would consider it. But like its ideal world is no, it's a second camera, and it's a travel camera.
Yeah. All right.
The other travel camera to take for me personally is the Insta-1 XR because you're right. That thing's the image quality coming out, thing's actually pretty sick.
All right, let's talk about that real quick. Insta-1, you have to spell the word one.
I know.
You have to type R, the letter R. Yeah, it's pretty cool. It's pretty cool. The 1-inch sensor to me is the cool aspect of it. You know, the 360 stuff is cool, but the image quality out of the 360 cams, in my opinion, are just too muddy. You know, I see the 360 one from the original, and I'm just like, this looks like shit. You know, but you can post it on your phone. That's about it. But the 1-inch sensor, even the 4K wide-angle sensor or 4K wide-angle module,
It looked a
really
lot better.
Yeah.
It looked pretty good, actually.
And the fact that you can just use it in any GoPro mount, they all fit. It's the same exact size as the GoPro. It was really smart to do that. Just say, hey, if you have a GoPro, here's a second option for you. We'll just make it the same fucking size. The module system is a cool idea. Supposedly, too, it's all waterproof, which is fascinating because it's all module. I don't know what the durability's like, but pretty damn cool little fucking gadget. It is expensive though.
It's not. Well, it is and it isn't. If you just buy the 4K standard module, like it's an action cam, it's only $300.
Yeah. So
it is GoPro pricing. Now, if you want to get all of the modules, yeah, then it's 2 times the price.
Yeah, the 4K one's $300. The 1-inch sensor is $550. That's quite a considerable jump for that 1-inch sensor.
Yeah, and I didn't think that 1-inch sensor was actually that much better. It's not as good as I was hoping it would be.
It's not that much better, but it is a little bit of a jump. And for that price, I don't know if that's worth it. But that's the thing is like I was looking at the 1-inch sensor and that price was like, you know, you're creeping up to.
I think the twin edition is the sweet spot, honestly. Maybe the trio, but the twin edition seemed like that sweet spot. So you get the 360, so you can still have some good 360, but then you can also swap to the 4K.
Yeah, that one's pretty cool. The 360 is cool.
Yeah,
it is a cool.
Like if you're gonna buy it, you might as well, you know, buy the both of them at once so you can at least do it. What's the point of having a modular camera if you're not gonna swap out the modules?
Right. Yeah. Yeah, it is. And this is the vlog camera, man. This is what vloggers want. I know it. You want something this tiny. Vloggers want that little. That screen's pretty small, but you just need to see framing. You know, everything's gonna be a focus anyways. It's a fucking little tiny ass sensor. That price though, interesting. 500, around $500. All right, let's close it up. Thank you all for watching the show. We love you all. We'll see you guys next week. Wait, will we see you next week? I'm not 100% sure I'm going to see you guys next week. It might have to be the week after. Next week I'll be moving to a new house, so we might have to see you the week after. That's probably going to be the case. So we're going to see you guys the week after on the 18th, right here at Twitch, Tuesdays, 6:30 p.m. Eastern. Follow us over at Twitter. Follow us on our website, nolife.digital. We'll catch y'all later. Subscribe to the podcast on iTunes, Stitcher, Google Play Radio, Pocket Casts, all of them. We're all over there. All right. Peace.